In the early 1970s, Porsche's own engineers wanted to kill the 911. The car had a fundamental problem that no amount of development seemed to fix. The engine sat behind the rear axle, a layout that made the car fast in a straight line but prone to snapping into oversteer at the limit. Push too hard into a corner, lift off the throttle at the wrong moment, and the 911 would swap ends before most drivers had time to react. It had killed people. The company knew it. The plan was to replace it with a new car, the 928, a front-engine Grand Tourer with a water-cooled V8. More modern, more stable, more suitable for the direction the sports car market was heading. The 911 was supposed to be phased out. It wasn't. The story of the Porsche 911 is the story of a car that survived every attempt to kill it, from within its own company and from the laws of physics, and emerged stronger every time. The 911 launched in 1963 as the replacement for the 356, Porsche's original sports car. It was designed by Ferdinand Piëch and the Porsche family to be distinctly different from what other manufacturers were offering. Air-cooled, rear-engined, 6 cylinders in a flat configuration, the famous flat 6, or boxer engine, that would define the 911's soundtrack for decades. It looked unlike anything else. The shape, that long bonnet, the curved roofline, the rounded rear, was penned in-house by Ferdinand Butzi Porsche. It was immediately distinctive. It is still immediately distinctive. But the handling was genuinely dangerous in inexperienced hands. Through the late 1960s and into the 1970s, Porsche worked constantly on making the 911 more manageable. They added weight to the front bumper to shift the balance. They developed the suspension. They built more capable tires. When the 928 launched in 1978 and won the European Car of the Year award, it seemed like the succession was happening. The modern car was here. The old one would fade. It didn't. Customers kept buying the 911. Not the 928, not the 924, not the 944, the 911. The car with the engine in the wrong place and the handling that demanded respect. They loved it precisely because it was difficult. The 930 Turbo of 1975 became notorious. The turbocharged Flat 6 produced enormous boost, but the turbocharger of the era had a dramatic lag between pressing the throttle and receiving the power. In a corner, the sudden arrival of full boost could overwhelm the rear tires with no warning. The car earned a nickname, the Widowmaker. Drivers who understood it were rewarded with performance that nothing else could match. Drivers who didn't were quickly in trouble. Porsche refined the formula through the 1980s and into the 1990s. Each generation of the 911 became more capable, more manageable, more refined, without ever losing the fundamental character that made it distinctive. The 964, launched in 1989, introduced all-wheel drive to the 911 range for the first time. The Carrera 4 addressed the handling concerns directly, while the Carrera 2 preserved the pure rear-wheel drive experience for those who wanted it. Then came the 993. The 993, launched in 1993, is widely considered the finest air-cooled 911 ever built. A completely redesigned rear suspension transformed the car's handling. Multi-link geometry replaced the old semi-trailing arm setup, the architecture that had contributed to so many of the 911's handling vices. The result was a car that was genuinely fast, genuinely safe, and genuinely rewarding to drive. The 993 Turbo, launched in 1995, produced 408 horsepower with twin turbos and all-wheel drive. It was one of the fastest cars on the road. And then it was the last. The last air-cooled 911. The 996, launched in 1997, brought water cooling to the 911 for the first time. The decision was controversial. Porsche's engineers had determined that air cooling could no longer meet increasingly strict emissions regulations, but to many enthusiasts the change felt like a betrayal. The 996 also introduced a new engine design and a new visual language. The headlights, shared with the cheaper Boxster, drew particular criticism. Purists called them fried eggs. But the 996 sold in huge numbers. And the generation that followed it, the 997, addressed almost every criticism, and is now considered one of the best driving cars ever made. The 991, the 992, each generation has continued the evolution. Each one faster, more capable, more technologically sophisticated than the last. And through all of it, through water cooling, through PDK gearboxes, through hybrid technology and PASM adaptive dampers and active rear wheel steering, the 911 has remained unmistakably itself. The shape is still recognizable from a 1963 photograph. The flat 6 still defines the sound. The rear engine layout still demands engagement from the driver in a way that front-engine cars never quite replicate. 60 years after it launched, the 911 is still in production. Still the benchmark. Still the car that every other sports car is measured against. Porsche's engineers tried to kill it. Physics tried to kill it. The market tried to move on without it. None of them succeeded. Subscribe for the full story behind every legend. New video every week, no filler, just the cars that actually mattered. Next up, Le Mans. The 24-hour race that has produced more drama, more heartbreak, and more legendary moments than any other event in motorsport.